Hello, very good morning to you. This is Petrie here with you live from the Talk TV studio, live from the Talk Radio studios. And I'm here until 4 o'clock this morning. And I can just tell you that the glamour factor has gone up by 1 billion% in the last few moments. And also there's the nice smelling factor gone up. You can't smell her, but I can smell her and see her. So let me introduce you to Sapphira, who is a singer, a songwriter, a glamourpuss and burlesque dancer.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely in awe of you. I love you already. So it's a really interesting one because we're talking. You're here because Mental Health Week is upon us, or soon to be upon us, and it's hard to imagine somebody who looks like you and has the confidence that you have ever suffered with anxiety or any form of mental health illness. So talk me through your journey.
Well, it is interesting, isn't it? And when I was 21, I had a sectioning situation where I went into a psychosis and had to be hospitalized, and it was a very dark time. And in a way, I'm absolutely grateful it happened, because I think it set a fire inside me to come to London and to really chase my dreams, that I don't think I would have necessarily had that same determination. But in that time, it was extremely distressing. It's almost like you can't believe your mind would lie to you, but things that you are seeing and believing aren't true. So you really are in a very distressed place. And since then, I've worked very hard at healing. I've never had a repeat incident, but it's made me really want to be outspoken that you can recover. And if you know anyone going through something like this, you shouldn't necessarily think that that'll be their future. They might be sitting in front of an amazing presenter like you,
oh, bless your heart,
talking about their experience one day.
I know, but it is when did you, because I think one of the key issues with mental health issues themselves is recognizing them, because like you say, when your mind is lying to you, at what point do you realize it's a lie and not the truth? And at what point do you realize you have a mental health problem?
It's really difficult, and it wasn't probably until I got put into the high dependency unit and they put a needle in my arm that I realised I wasn't getting put on a jet and flown to London to sign a record deal, which was the narrative in my head. I thought I was in this massive delusion of grandeur. I packed all of my best clothes to go on a flight. I thought this colluding and whispering around me was that I was finally having my break as a singer-songwriter. So it's quite interesting to be here 18 years later, you know, with a song coming out. But at that time, it was a complete shock. I was highly unwell, and they were actually colluding to make sure I was safe and out of harm's way.
Who did realise that you had a mental health problem? I mean, if you were living in that kind of fantasy world, it must have been easier for other people to see it than 100%. For you to see it.
Yes, it was. I was absolutely the immediate carers and friends around me. You know, my boyfriend's mum at the time where I was living was very worried. Then she brought me to my mum, who was increasingly worried. So they took me to a psychiatrist, and that was where the sort of process began. And within a day, I was in a psychiatric ward.
Wow. So you clearly got quite a long way down the road of mental health problems if the next move was a psychiatric ward.
Yeah.
So how come it had taken so long for people to... Were you just very good at hiding it, or were you just a very exuberant person? And they thought, oh, that's just Sapphira, she'll be fine. I mean,
no, I'm
she's
fine.
Very quiet,
I really am
obviously.
fine.
This is how she dresses on a normal Monday morning.
Absolutely. No, I think it had been a year in the making. I believe, if I now recognise it in myself, I'd gone through like a hypomania probably a year before, and then had a really severe depression for about another 3 months after that. And then this final stage, which was a year-long process, was really the severe time. But that took 2 weeks to really set in, you know, of not sleeping, of getting more and more incoherent.
So it officially bipolar, is that?
Yes, it was more of a really extreme manic side of bipolar, because bipolar can be, you know, highly depressive or highly like agitated and elevated. And I think I was in the elevated stage when I got hospitalized, not in the depressive stage.
Yeah, so but it also depends on, this is the difficulty with mental health, isn't it? You can't, just because you can see it in one person doesn't mean you can see it in another, because they're very different. They manifest differently.
Yeah.
So if you were hyper, then you might have been hyper for longer and people just think that's part of your personality, and then there's a small, but deep dip, and then you're back up again, whereas somebody else might have it the other way around. So it's very difficult to spot, isn't it?
Yes.
In a character, I would imagine, as big as you are.
Yes, I think it was difficult to spot, and that's why I probably didn't spot it, and people didn't really notice it. But I was writing a lot of songs and getting very creative and like not sleeping, and I lost my appetite, and all these things make more sense to me now that I read up on it and started understanding the symptoms. And I just really have a deep compassion for people around me that come to me and say, I'm worried about my nephew or my 20-something-year-old. They're going through this really shaky phase, and I think it's awful to watch someone go through it. And but I do think it's almost was an essential part of my growth and my character building. And so I know we want to protect people, but also sometimes we have to realize it might be the conduit for something bigger for them, a big awakening, a big calling to like amazing things after the fact. It's not necessarily the life sentence,
But you then, started, when you recognised this mental health issue and you'd come out of hospital, it is remarkable that you go towards something like burlesque.
I know.
Why burlesque?
Well, that's really why I got unwell. I had been in a Christian upbringing, and the Brethren sect that we were part of were very like, thou shalt be seen and not heard. There was no dancing. There was very little music. And
sexualization, basically, of women.
Yes, it was a really, kind of policed aspect of the church, was the femininity. The women had to wear long skirts, cover their heads. I think that I tried to be the thing that they wanted me to be, and I was a very convincing actress, but it was really unhealthy for me. I felt like all these instincts that got worse as I got into puberty were really, really sinful, and I was trying to just repress them. So they had to come out at some point. And burlesque was this beautiful antidote where I could be powerful and sexy and a bit naughty and not tell my mum and dad I was doing it, and have this enormous sense of body confidence. And so all those things slotted into place for me in a major way through the art form of burlesque and that sensuality. So,
but it's such an exaggerated form of femininity, isn't it? But I mean, I love burlesque. I love watching burlesque dancers. I absolutely find them so sexy, and the female form is just beautiful, and they're not these skinny girls whose curves and boobs and all of that, absolutely stunning. And cinched in waists. I think it is the most glorious side of womanhood. But for you, again, it's kind of really to go from having your hair covered and neck down dresses. That is a real bursting out, isn't it?
It really was. It was just a glorious, I don't know, antithesis. It was all the things I wasn't meant to do, and it was just the complete medicine I needed, which is really, I guess, what it was for me. It was medicine. It was a therapy. It's become a huge part of my life.
But it takes so much confidence to do burlesque.
The first show I was absolutely petrified, and I'll never forget how nervous I was at the thought of just showing my body. And it was very nerve-wracking. But I think in a way that's part of the healing, because you're in this incredible state of adrenaline and fear, actually, and the facing the unknown and being pushed outside your comfort zone, and you get to that other side and the whole room is going crazy, and you just can't bottle that first time. Like, I could never go back and have that. I have had similar things every other time I've performed, but not that first time. And I watch it in students. I've taught thousands of women. I've put them on stage, and men too, just to see that. And I just love that moment. My next best thing is watching someone else's first time now.
Yeah, I mean, that must be so extraordinary. And you didn't turn back from there. That was it. You were hooked.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I listen to other people's origin stories who are in burlesque because it's quite a big scene now, and everybody has that first-class story where I think, I say this to students, and as I'm saying to you, you know, you might be here in this seat in a few years going, I interviewed this burlesque dancer and that was it. I knew I had to do it.
Wow. Yeah, I might be. Who knows? I could do burlesque.
You totally could.
Just give me a feather boa. Let me see if I can pull it off.
All right. I think you definitely
I
will.
definitely think I could pull it off. Well, I could pull off the feather boa. I'm not sure about the dancing. There you go. Let's give this a go. If you can't see this because you're on radio, it's a shame, really. What do we think?
Oh, the colour's gorgeous on you.
Darling. I love it. So also singers, I will give it back, I promise. You're also a singer-songwriter. Tell me about your songs.
Well, they've been a really great way to express all of these angsts and pains and highs and lows over the years, and I don't know if I would have got through without being my writing. You know, I think writing, whether it was poetry or lyrics, was really important to me. So through this incredible determination to sort of right the wrongs of being sectioned and all that being suppressed, I just came to London 18 years ago on a mission to be the next Kylie.
You're better than Kylie.
I would love to sing with Kylie, and that led to meeting a number of producers. It led to a few songs getting in the charts, and now my album coming out and marrying the husband of my dreams, who is my music producer.
Handy. You might as well just get, it's two for one deal, isn't it?
It's exactly. But truly, he had also had an experience with the same sect of church as me.
Oh, no way.
And so as my lyrics were quite like provocative and had some hints of, you know, biblical references like forbidden fruit, but in a naughty like context. And so he said, I just love your lyrics because I came through this experience with a church in England. And I was like, which one? And then we worked out it was the same type, and we were like, oh my God. So we just distance bonded, and then it just got so deep, and it's the most intimate relationship I've ever had because we really hear and see and feel a lot of things musically.
Amazing. I think we've got a clip. Have we got a clip of your music we can have a listen to or a look at? Let's
You know you're the best, honey. Don't take anything less. Shave those lips, tighten that dress. Show them how we burlesque. I'm the queen of the scene. That's right. I'm the queen of the scene. You know I'm the queen of the scene. Let's do this. I'm the queen of the scene.
More queen than Priscilla. Yo, I'm no vanilla. Don't try to outshine me. Sparkle like scintilla. I was flying solo. Want you to join my show. Think that they can stop this? It's a no-go. Yes, we're still in headlines. Won't be wasting our time till we take the lead. They follow along behind the starship.
What a tune.
Thanks.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm unpacking boxes at the moment, so I'm going to download that.
Okay.
And that's going to get me through the unpack. So what next for you? I mean, incredible journey. Now a spokesperson for mental health. You've written a book called Burlesque or Bust. I like what you did there.
Thank you.
Very clever.
Thank you.
And the music, which is fantastic. The happy marriage, the great music.
Do you know, I just really want to be a beacon for people going through anything of a similar distress, because this is Mental Health Awareness Week, and I feel incredibly lucky because at the moment that I was absolutely at the pinnacle of my hospitalisation all those years ago, I never would have thought I'd be in London achieving my dream. But I'm now teaching burlesque virtually on an app called the World Burlesque Academy.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I've launched World Burlesque Day, and I'm teaching in 15 countries from my flat in Islington. I have a studio set up.
Amazing.
I'm teaching students and burlesque artists PR skills and marketing because I have been in journalism.
Like you said, it's a huge scene now.
It's huge.
And it should be.
It's in 57 countries, which I learnt through launching World Burlesque Day. So I just really believe that this can change the world, and I want to reposition burlesque. Drag and pole dancing have had an amazing mainstream acceptance.
yeah.
Burlesque is still in this murky world of like...
But I don't know why, because it's so elegant. It's so not sleazy.
Because it's got the
sexy, not
stripping.
sleazy.
And I think people misconstrue that as being like, that's going to corrupt our people and they're going to be, you know... turn into like
wonderful.
the worst gangster underworld. They're not. It's actually incredibly healing, and we need places to look at each other's bodies.
I agree.
Other than like, you know, in the
I mean, no one wants to look at mine, trust me, but looking at yours is amazing. Also, can you just close your eyes for me? I can't see the join. And they're obviously they're natural eyelashes.
Yeah, that's because they're so natural. They're just joined. You just need to come closer. On the tip with the glue.
Oh, I see. So it's not a line. They're just stuck on the end.
They're endy ones.
Ah, they're amazing.
Thanks. All of these things, Petrie, are absolutely just an app away.
Just an app away.
You're moving flat as you're unpacking those boxes.
Yeah, I'm onto
Download
it.
the app.
Listen, let me know when you're next performing.
Okay.
And I would love to come and see you.
Absolutely.
I'd absolutely love it.
Also, we have a TikTok challenge. It's actually just reached 13,000 views today. It's the Queen of the Scene challenge, and it's to the riff that you just heard. So that is
brilliant.
Something I would like to set a challenge to you to take up. You just need a crown.
I just need a crown. I've packed mine. I don't know where it is. Listen, Sapphira, it's been such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
Please come back anytime you like.
Okay.
Please come back.
I will.
Because I'm just marvellous. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
You're watching Talk TV with Petrie Hoskin. Back in just a moment.